Hello, my name is Alexis Cole. I'm the director of JazzVoice.com, and I'm really excited. In a moment, I'll introduce our guest host, but since we have so many new faces on, I wanted to just let you guys know what is Jazz Voice. So we're an online educational community focused on singers of all levels, mostly dedicated to jazz, but for all singers. And we offer weekly online courses and a video library of our past 500 plus classes and a jam session every first Sunday of the month. And really, what we are is an educational community because it's all about community and meeting your people and you know getting being supported by each other. And we're a worldwide community. And then once a year in June, we get together in Virginia Beach for the Virginia Beach Vocal Jazz Summit, where we have performances, jam sessions, and workshops for a weekend. It's a lot of fun. So that's Jazz Voice and the Vocal Jazz Summit. And we welcome you here for this wonderful book release event for DC Bloom and To See Blossom. How are you doing today, DC?
Doing great here in San
Wonderful.
Antonio.
Great, great. I'm in Florida today, and I know we have people joining in from New York and from other places in Texas. And if you guys want, since you're such a group of new people who are new to me, why don't we have you put where you're from in the chat so we can all see where each other are calling in from? That'd be great. So DC, I interviewed DC for our little promo clip, and he's just such a fascinating guy. He was a speechwriter for many years for the CIA and the FBI. Is that right?
FBI.
For the FBI.
They
Oh
wouldn't
my
let me in the
gosh.
CIA.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And he's a songwriter, a singer-songwriter, and a guitar player, and a fiction writer, of course. And so and a jazz lover. And
Mhm.
this book was he was inspired to write this book, and we'll talk more about the book as we go. So DC, can you tell them more about yourself so that they know all the great surprises?
Sure. Well, you've hit my how I made my living, how I paid the mortgage and paid the rent over the years as a corporate speechwriter, corporate and governmental speechwriter. My first speechwriting job was with the FBI, as you mentioned. I also wrote for the CEOs of AT&T, um, 9X, Verizon. I worked for the comptroller of the currency in Washington, D.C., Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and um, and that's was a very interesting way to make a living, putting words in, as I like to describe it, putting words in muckety muck's mouths, and I always had wanted to try my hand at writing a book. I always felt I had a book in me, but I never got around to it until I retired. And I wrote this book probably about 2 years. Well, it took about 2 years to write. I released it or finished it in February or March of this year, I believe it was. And I'm already working on another one. I need two more chapters. I'm trying to finish it before my editor takes the trip to Ireland, and I'm hoping that that will be the first draft of the next manuscript. I'm doing a another. Well, this is a straight novel, not a historical novel. The book I'm working on now will be called Halo and Harlow's Last Go Round, and it's about a male-female duo in Austin who the male Tex Harlow, he's a former political consultant who moves to Texas to become a singer-songwriter. So it's slightly autobiographical, but that's the project I'm working on now. But that's a little bit about me.
Wow,
Um,
that's great.
what else you got for me?
Yes. Let's see. Uh, Great. Oh, am I unmuted?
I
Oh,
hear you.
oh, good. Okay, cool. Let me spotlight myself too. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay. Well, I was wondering, why did you center your novel around a quest to see Blossom Dearie's final performance?
Well, the first part of the first part of that answer is why I I decided to make Blossom a central character in this historical novel. And that goes back to a dear friend of mine. One day, uh, I think I uh, had been playing some music, and a Blossom song shuffled up. And I said so I said to her, "You know who this is?" And she goes, "Of course, it's Blossom Dearie." And that's when she proceeded to tell me the story about her parents in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who they would every wedding anniversary, they would travel from Tulsa to Manhattan to see Blossom Dearie in concert. And I just thought that was the coolest thing, the most romantic thing I'd heard about this couple who traveled to New York to see Blossom. And she also told me that her parents really enjoyed not only Blossom's performance and the music and everything, but just the community that they met and saw over those their visits to Manhattan. You know, they became very close friends with uh, other Blossom Dearie fans. So just that idea of creating a community around music appealed to me as a theme for the book. But that's kind of how I got into that. And so initially, when I started thinking about it, I had thought about writing the book just about a variety of people who go to see Blossom in like my friends' experiences. But then I decided I shifted gears somewhat, and I thought, well, let's make it a journey from the Texas Hill Country to Manhattan. And another one of the central characters is um, this guy named Cleet, who he he convinces a group of his friends in the Texas Hill Country to join him on this trip, and he enjoys or takes great pleasure in introducing his friends to Blossom Dearie and her music. And so just the idea of someone who is a fan introducing, sharing the experience of Blossom Dearie with his friends was kind of the central idea of the book. And if there's a theme in the book, it's just the incredible power of creating community through music, and also the importance of the of creating shared experiences. That's what the group of friends who travel to Manhattan are all about. So that's it.
Wow, that's great. Um, and your book has chapters where Blossom and Annie Ross are having dinner in their favorite French restaurant.
Right.
How did you go about writing in their voices?
Well, um, I listened to all the live tracks of Blossom. I did a lot of reading about her background. It was an excellent piece in the New Yorker that profiled her over the years. I listened to several YouTube videos of people talking about their memories and experiences and associations with Blossom. And as a result of that, I kind of developed. I hope I captured her persona. Um, and some of it comes from her music and just as I said, I listened to live tracks. She really, had a dry wit, very, kind of playful, very coy, cheeky at times. So I tried to capture that in the chapters where Annie and Blossom are interacting. The other thing about Annie that I learned in the course of researching, that Annie and Blossom were roommates in Paris in the early 50s, and they remained close friends over the years. The reason Blossom ended up spending a lot of time in London was because of Annie. Annie was born in England. When she lived in London, when Annie lived in London, she had a place called Annie's Room, which was one of the first places that Blossom played when she decided to spend a few years in London.
Wow, that's fascinating. I did not know that history. That's so cool. Wow. Well, do you want to do a little bit reading from the book you had mentioned?
Sure.
All right.
Um, the
And yeah, by the way, I'm so lucky, I don't know how many of you other, some people who are living in New York like Wendy, but I got to see both those gals, a few times before. Well, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, you
Right.
know, but they were playing in New York all the time. It was so
Yeah.
great. They were just such fixtures in the community. So I feel really lucky, and I'm so happy that you're introducing new audiences. Oh, one of the things that DC told me is that sometimes people will ask him, they'll say, "How did you come up with a character named Blossom Dearie?" And he has to explain to them that it's a real person, that she's a
Yeah, I had
real.
several people who thought it was just a figment of my
I
imagination,
mean,
but
it sounds like it could be, right? It
right,
definitely.
exactly.
But so
That's
so it's
funny.
really great to introduce new audiences. All
You
right.
you want to
You want to
move in
introduce your
there?
friend?
Yeah.
Yes. Playing the role of Blossom Dearie is my friend Rhoda Fleischer.
Hello.
She's a native New Yorker, so that fits. Blossom was born in New York. And the chapter that we're going to read here is there's a chapter in the book where Blossom is interviewed by a man named Ambrose Harmon, who is a fictional character, but he's a reporter for a publication called Jazz Review Magazine. And this is like transcript. The chapter reads like a transcript of a tape recording of his interview with Blossom. So that's what we're going to read for you. Good morning, Mrs. Deary. I really appreciate you making time to speak with me today. I know our readers will be interested in getting to know more about you.
Of course, Ambrose. But please call me Blossom. Everyone else does. And I'm not a Mrs. anymore. I'm a swinging single, as the Brits like to say these days.
Cool, cool, right on.
And what do you like to be called?
Ambrose is fine.
Ambrose is fine. Well, I sure hope you are. I don't do many of these kinds of things. Be gentle. I'm a fragile flower.
I will, but that's not what I heard. I heard from many of your friends who tell me that you can more than handle yourself. One of them saw you in London a few weeks ago and loved the way you got the audience to quiet down and pay attention. Gently but firmly. Impressive, she reported.
There's your headline, Ambrose. Blossom Dearie, a gentle and firm flower, reportedly.
Yeah, that'll be up to my editor, I'm afraid, but I'll certainly pass it on. It does have a certain ring to it.
I am a lyricist, you know. No Oscar H, of course, but I can string a few words together when needed, so yes, do pass that along.
Okay, well, let's get down to business, shall we?
We shall.
Okay, let's start with the basics. Where are you from originally?
You mean, where was I born? I was born in East Durham, New York, about a 2-hour drive from here. East Durham, conveniently enough, is just a stone's throw from the town of Durham. Funny how that worked out, isn't it? But for some reason, there isn't a West Durham. I've never figured that out.
And what was East Durham like?
Oh, it's a place like many others, I suppose. Rockwell never painted it, but I'm sure he would find it to his liking. You know, good people, hardworking, fun-loving, harmless, most of them. A main street with good businesses, a barber shop, a beauty parlor, the requisite hardware peddler where people buy their fill of hammers and nails. So there's a lot of hammering in the morning, which I would think makes Pete Seeger pleased. Anyhow, yes, it was a nice place to be from.
And Blossom's your given name?
Oh dear, no. The name of my birth certificate is Margrethe, dearie. You can see why I prefer Blossom, can't you? Margrethe sounds like a cheap cognac or something. Annie Ross, that silly girl, likes to call me by my real name at times, but I can't remember the last time anyone else has. Of course, like most of us in show business, I'm just glad when they call me.
And how'd you come by your delightful sobriquet?
Oh, goodness, an educated reporter. I see. Impressive. But back to your question. I was told that someone, maybe even my cousin, brought a basket of pears to our house the day I was born. Or maybe it was peaches. Who really knows? That was April 28th for the record.
And what year was that?
My dear man, you've never been told? That's not a polite question to ask us girls. And here I thought Ambrose would be fine.
I have been told that, but I'm a reporter, and it's truth alone that counts for us.
Well, the truth is, I was born in 1929.
And here the transcript reads, editor's note, fact check confirmed Blossom Dearie was born on April 28th, 1924, just in time for the Great Depression.
Brother, can you spare a dime?
Yes, but it was no joking matter for many families. Where's it at? It was no joking matter for many families, at least not for mine. My father was one of those poor chaps who threw himself out of a 15-story office window.
Oh, my Lord, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Forgive me, please.
And here's another editor's note. Fact checked has verified that really didn't. A. Harmon's father was a successful real estate investor from Montreal who did quite well buying depressed multifamily rental properties in both Canada and the US in the early 30s. Ambrose, forgiveness granted. Shall we go on?
Yes.
All right. Tell me a little bit about your parents. Were they musical?
My mother, God rest her precious soul, loved to play the piano and sing, mostly standards of the day, but also the occasional church hymn, Rock of Ages, that kind of thing.
Clef for me. Yes, go on. I'm familiar with that.
Daddy played the trumpet at home, never professionally, though, just around the house and the occasional community picnic. They both loved music, but he really couldn't carry a tune all that well. However, he had stellar tone as a trumpeter. Mother had an absolutely wonderful singing voice. I hear echoes of her every time I listen to my own albums.
And do you do that often?
Oh, often enough. One has to, of course, when one is in the studio.
I do want to talk a little bit about your latest release. I love your version of Surrey with a Fringe on Top, by the way. But first, may I ask a few more questions about your early years?
Certainly. And yes, I'm quite pleased with the way that track came out. I'd actually ridden in many a horse-drawn cart as a child, and they don't go anywhere near as fast as Richard must think Surreys do. So I slowed the tempo down to one I knew any respectable horse would be much more comfortable with.
Smart of you. It's perfect the way you do it. Okay, talk a bit about your early days here in the city. How did those years shape you as a performer, as an artist?
Well, I can honestly say that I had a whale of a time, most days anyway. I started coming into Manhattan right after I graduated high school. The jazz clubs around the city were my college education, I guess you could say. Just sitting, sipping a cocktail and listening to people like Coltrane, Miles, and Bird was eye-opening and quite inspiring for me. I found them to be incredibly welcoming to a still very wet behind the ears schoolgirl from the outskirts. Surprisingly enough, they would actually talk to me. Some would even buy me drinks.
I imagine so. You strike me as one of those naively alluring women who have little idea of how captivating they are to us fellas.
Well, I wasn't completely fresh off the boat, so to speak.
And not above a little flirting?
A girl does what a girl does in the right situation, if she deems it prudent. Don't you agree, Ambrose?
Well, I'm supposed to be the one asking the questions, but I do believe.
Ah, that's good to hear. That should make this interview tolerable at least. And yes, Ambrose, I'm both teasing and flirting now.
Duly noting. As I think I mentioned, I understand you have a great rapport with your audience. Talk about how you're able to do that.
I'm so glad you've asked me that. That is something I take a lot of pride in as a performer, and I've rarely been asked about it. I take it by your question that you've not seen me perform. That's too bad. I truly believe I have an obligation to each and every paying customer to give them a night to remember. And it isn't necessarily about the songs they'll hear. It's about the shared experience we'll have together, both me and the listener. For 90 minutes or so, we're a family of sorts. We each bring our own baggage to the show. I mean, I might have a killing toothache, which I did the other night at Greenwald's Tavern, or the guy in the front row might have gotten a speeding ticket on the way to the show, and he's in a real sour mood. His expression bringing me down and being a big drain on the energy of the night. My job is to block all that stuff out because somewhere in that crowd also might be a couple celebrating their first anniversary or a couple on their first date or a woman who's just gotten a terrible diagnosis that she hasn't told anyone else about yet because she knows that the friends with her have been really looking forward to this rare night out for weeks. I guess what I'm saying is, I feel duty bound to connect with these folks, sharing happy songs, funny songs, songs that conjure up childhood memories, like riding in a surrey, whether it's fringed or not, and even sad, sappy songs that may give them a ray of hope and belief that all is not lost in their love life or personal life. That's what I'm thinking about before every show. How am I going to spend the next few minutes in these people's company? And what can I do to make them forget about the troubles they might be having? And how music might, just might, for a few minutes, help make everything better. So that's what I tried to do. Well, that and make the owner want to have me back.
That's a beautiful answer, Blossom, and I really do appreciate you sharing that with me and my readers.
I'm not usually this talkative.
I'm glad you are this afternoon, and I do plan to get to one of your upcoming shows.
I've had a very nice time, Ambrose, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut things short. Maybe we could continue this interview another time. I'm really quite sorry, but I just remembered I really do need to be uptown in 20 minutes. If we could find some time next week, maybe to finish our little talk, would that work for you? I promise to give you everything you need then.
Editor's note, recording abruptly ends as a waitress asks if they'll be needing anything else. And that's the end of the chat.
Yay. Great. And about how long is the book?
I
Is
don't
it,
even
you know,
know.
is it something you read in a week or is it a giant tome?
Um,
It's not a giant.
no, I think my sister Linda could answer that better than anyone. She read it a couple times before it was printed. How long did it take you, Linda?
You're muted.
I don't know. Can you unmute yourself, Linda?
I just did
All
unmute
right, there you
myself.
go.
You know, when you're reading it to edit, you read a little slower. But I am a quick reader. It's definitely doable in a week, though, I think, by anyone.
Right,
Um, you can sit and probably read it in a day if you want,
right.
especially if you're retired.
I know it took
Great.
much longer to write, that's for sure.
Yeah. Great. Wow, thank you so much. Do
But
you got
one of the things that the reason I picked that chapter, it touches on a lot of just attributes that Blossom brought to her performing uh, um, philosophy, which was very um, she was she really honed the cabaret style and really demanded of her audiences to listen. She was not shy about scolding an audience if they were too loud. She didn't allow any smoking in the audience. She there's a famous story of her getting so upset because she hated the smell of fish when fish was being served. So she was very prickly in that way, but also very demanding. And she kind of honed, as Alexis mentioned, uh, I've recorded Americana or folk albums, and she kind of honed the whole listening room venue just by demanding that people listen. She didn't want to be background noise while people ate meals and drank, and so that was one of the things that I really liked about that chapter, that it does get into that.
great? Yeah, that's always a conundrum. It's good to be that kind of to be able to be that kind of performer that can tell people what was
And
what.
also, I liked putting those words in her mouth about, just having some compassion for the audience, what they may be going through, and her obligation as a performer to give them something else to think about during those 90 minutes when they're in the audience listening. Um, I don't think I don't think most performers uh, think of themselves in that way, as having that obligation. When someone buys a ticket to your show, you really are there to entertain, not just sing songs but to be an entertainer. And that's what, just in listening to Blossom's live recordings, that really comes across. She was an entertainer who really knew how to pace the performance, mix in serious songs, funny songs. I mean, she had just an array of humorous songs that are so great and much loved and covered now by jazz artists or vocalists like Alexis.
I had to learn one of the first time I came across her was for a wedding gig when I was in college, and I had to learn it's uh they say it's spring. Such a great tune. So
Yep.
many great songs and such a great performer. It's so wonderful to hear her brought to life afresh. Thank you so much, Cece. Do you have any? You shared with us a little bit at the beginning about your next work, but is there more you wanted to say about what you're working on now?
Yeah, well, like I said, it's going to the working title's called Halo and Harlow's Last Go Round. It centers on the story of a political consultant who moves to Texas to become a Texas singer-songwriter, not unlike yours truly. And uh, he becomes associated with a female singer named CC Harlow, thus Halo and Harlow. They form a very successful singing duo. But events conspire to drag Tex Halo back into the political world, and that's kind of what the story, where it goes, whether Tex will remain committed to his new songwriting profession, or whether he'll be drawn back into the political game. So that's what the next two chapters that I need to finish here shortly will resolve. I kind of have an idea what is going to happen, but I'll never know until the fingers actually get on the keyboard.
Mm. And as a musician and a writer, how do you find them kind of the same or different, the disciplines or the time it takes, or writing songs versus writing music, or playing music and practicing versus writing?
Well, one of the things that I've been pleasantly surprised as I've gotten into novel writing, I can be very disciplined when I need to be. So I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock most mornings. I go try to write. I try to write at least 1,500 words a day. Um, and as I said, I sketch out kind of the game plan. I allow myself enough latitude to go wherever the manuscript takes me. But the whole key is to really uh, force yourself to be disciplined and knock out those 1,500 words. Not all 1,500 words are going to be good, and there are going to be plenty of days where you may decide to trash half of it and start all over again in a particular chapter. But you just keep going. And comparing it to songwriting, um, it's a little bit different. With songwriting, I always wait for the muse to speak to me. So um, when I got into songwriting, I had attended I don't know if you're familiar with the Kerrville Folk Festival, but I was living in Virginia at the time, and I came down to Texas to the Kerrville Folk Festival, and I took a songwriting workshop. At that time, I had only had written 3 songs back in Virginia. So the way it was set up, there were different stations where there were 3 or 4 professional songwriters at the time. So, you had to go around and you sang your song to each one. And, by the second day, I was kind of plumb out of material. So I went back from that experience and I made the commitment, I made the promise to myself, I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock every morning and write a song a week. And damned if I didn't do that. So at the end of that year, I had 52 songs, and 12 of them ended up being in on my first solo album. So, it's just a matter of keeping the nose to the grindstone.
Wow, that is really inspiring. I was up last night from midnight to 3 working on I'm making an online course, and I'm getting nervous. It's the end of the summer and I want to have it finished by the end of the summer, and I just had to get up and work on it. It's just,
Yeah,
when you feel compelled, when a story or a song is calling you, you just have to do it. But
that's
discipline's
right.
such a big part of it. That's wonderful, DC. Do you guys
Yeah,
have questions for DC about the book or his process or Blossom's Blossom history? Anna Marie wrote in the chat that she is a big Blossom fan. She ordered the book online. She had to go, but I
nice.
thought that was nice, and she's excited to read it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you have a copy there? You want to show it in the, it's got a nice
I,
cover. And
I
and
actually I
I
didn't
mean,
bring a
it's,
copy with it.
oh no.
Yeah.
Wait.
Rhoda's going to go get her copy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, a picture is only worth 1,000 words, not 15,000, but but it's a nice cover. How did you decide on the cover?
Um, Chat GPT, actually. I I didn't want to have to worry about copyright issues, so I described Blossom's appearance,
Mhm.
and I wanted to have a picture of a performer at the piano. Here we go. I don't know if you see that.
Upside down.
Oops,
There we go. Great. Nice. Yeah,
there you
that's
go.
great.
But yeah, it's kind of a generic uh, blonde-haired woman who kind of looks like Blossom Dearie at the piano.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. I like hearing good success stories of collaboration with AI.
Right. No, it works if you know what to tell it.
Yeah, I've been using it.
The other thing I wanted to mention, I'm um, in the process. I've got the book that I'm working on now that I mentioned, Halo and Harlow. And I'm also writing a screenplay about Maud Adams, who was the first woman who played Peter Pan on Broadway. And I've just today, as a matter of fact, a good friend back in Virginia went to the Library of Congress and retrieved, sent me copies of a unpublished autobiography that Maud Adams had written, which is in the Library of Congress. He sent me about 90 pages of it
Wow, that's
today.
going to be
So
amazing material for
yeah,
your
so that's
screenplay.
motivation for me to finish this book and get on to that one. Yeah.
Wow, great. Wendy had a question?
Yes, I can't wait to read it. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
And stupidly, I mean, I had a gig there at Danny's Skylight
Ah,
for many years, and I never saw her. But
ah.
anyway, I can't think about it. It's too disturbing. But I was interested in your process. I'm also writing, and I hear a lot of different approaches. Do you, in your process, do you write a very detailed outline before you begin, or do you just start writing?
Um, I would say it's a game plan, and it's not a detailed outline by any means. I I I have a general feel about where the story's going, what the story is that I want to tell. Um, I've taken master classes online in the past where I remember one that specifically John Irving was talking about his process. And, there are people who sketch
Yes,
out everything.
every detail. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that, but I was just
And
curious.
John Irving is the exact opposite. He never knows where his story's going. It's almost stream of consciousness writing. And I recently read, what was his one, The Last Chairlift that I recently read. And that was one of the first books I read after reading Irving talking about his process,
Hmm.
where you could really get a sense, okay, this guy's just kind of riffing and letting the story go wherever the muse takes him. And I try to split the difference between I like with To See Blossom. I knew I wanted to have it be a quest with these friends, uh, going traveling from Texas to Manhattan to see this person. Along the way in writing, so that was the basic nut of the idea. And as I was writing, uh, uh, the one character, Cleet, develops, or I have him develop a serious eye condition where he's gradually losing his sight. And Cleet was a character who he introduces his friend Donna to the music of Blossom Dearie, and so it's very important for Cleet, and he had already seen Blossom Dearie once before, so he wants to experience it again, and he also wants his friends to experience what he loved about seeing Blossom Dearie when he could see. So that was great motivation for him. But in answer to your question, I try to do both things. I I have enough of an idea of what I want the story to end on, but allowing serendipity to take it where it's going to go. Yeah,
That's so great. It sounds like a song too. You learn the song well enough that you can allow for improvisation.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
cool. Okay, Linda has a question. Go easy on your bro.
No, also on the process, because I've asked other writers as well. How much did characters change from? I assume you have a general thing also on what each character is like, but how do they develop over the course of writing the book? Do you listen to them?
Well, yes. I mean, one of the things that I really enjoyed about writing was there's a character um, who started out as a very minor character, and I just loved writing in her voice so much that she almost forced herself into the story. Brenda Chase was a waitress in a Cajun restaurant, and one of the characters stops in this restaurant, and she was just a feisty, Louisiana woman, and she ends up being a major character and pivotal to the story. So, but again, I allow those kind of things to happen. Um, I would say that was probably the most dramatic um, uh, example of a character forcing themselves on. The the character of Donna, who is Cleet's friend and sometimes girlfriend, she really evolved as well. Initially, she was kind of flighty and that character. I don't want to give away the book too much, but that character, Donna, she develops a pen pal relationship with Blossom Dearie in New York. So she's this aspiring poet in the Texas Hill Country, working as a librarian, and she establishes or creates this interesting relationship, a long distance relationship with Blossom, and that I had no idea that that was going to happen when I created the outline. That just kind of happened because um, at one point early on, Cleet in the book mentions he gives Donna the answer to a crossword puzzle that she's doing. She does a crossword every morning, and one of the questions was a reference to Blossom Dearie. So Cleet gives her the answer that triggers her interest in Blossom, and that's kind of where it goes from there.
Great. Thank you. Good question, Linda. Great. Any last or further questions? Great. Well, congratulations, DC. This is wonderful. And is it's do you want to put a link to order it in the chat, or I guess everybody's finding it, right? It's on
Yeah,
Amazon.
it's on Amazon.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much, DC, for sharing your story of Blossom Dearie with us. And thank you for taking the time to write about jazz history and jazz historical figures and to bring them into a new context. There's so much imagination there, and why do they have to be limited, to what actually happened? They can
Well, and that's what I like about the book is I'm doing what the character of Cleet does in his book is introducing Blossom to a new
Yeah,
set of fans. So there's some nice harmony there.
wonderful. That's so great. Thank you. Thank you so much, DC. And this, if you guys want to share this talk with your friends, it's going to be on our free YouTube channel. It'll be in our video library as well, but since this was open to the public, it'll also be on our YouTube. So you could go to YouTube. It's in the free videos on jazzvoice.com or YouTube/C/jazzvoice online, I think, is our YouTube channel. But it'll be there, and I'll make sure that DC has the link if he
Great.
wants to share it with any of you. Thank you
Sure.
so much for visiting Jazz Voice, guys, and hope to see you again. And thank you,
Thanks again,
DC.
Alexis.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, thank you. Wendy, did you have a question or was that no? Just waving goodbye. What is up with Zoom? Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.